You may have been frightened by reports or warnings about poisoned Halloween candy or Halloween candy with razor blades, pins, or other dangerous items inside. Such reports date back to at least the 1950s and often reappear as Halloween nears each year. How true are these fears? Joel Best is a professor of sociology and criminology at the University of Delaware. He studies social problems, popular fears such as missing children in the 1980s, and the often dubious or misleading statistics that crop up in reports and debates about these issues. He is best known to the general public, however, for his work on Halloween sadism, a fancy term for these reports and cases of poisoned or booby-trapped Halloween candy. Professor Best's website features a detailed article on the results of his long-term study of these reports. https://www.joelbest.net/Halloween-sadism. Remarkably, Professor Best has found only 5 deaths of children attributed to Halloween candy poisoning in media reports and just a handful of actual non-fatal poisoning incidents. The first case, Kevin Totson, Detroit, 1970. 5-year-old Kevin reportedly died after eating heroin supposedly hidden in his Halloween candy. Less heavily publicized was a follow-up story that Kevin had found the heroin in a relative's home. The second case is Timothy O'Brien, Pasadena, Texas, 1974. This is an actual case of Halloween poisoning of Halloween candy, and Timothy died after eating cyanide-laced Halloween candy. However, later investigation revealed he had received the candy from his father, who had taken a life insurance policy on both Timothy and his sister, and the father was tried, convicted, and eventually executed in 1984 for the murder. And this is the only of the reported cases which is a genuine case of Halloween candy poisoning. Third case is Patrick Vederhold, Flint, Michigan, 1978. And Patrick died after eating Halloween treats. However, tests failed to show any drugs or poison in his system, and the police concluded that Patrick's death was from natural causes. Ariel Katz is a similar case in Santa Monica, California in 1990. 7-year-old Ariel collapsed after trick-or-treating and died. However, again, pathologist examination, autopsy attributed the death to an enlarged heart to natural causes, not to any poison in the candy. And the fifth case is an unnamed girl, a 4-year-old girl, who died after eating some Halloween candy. This is also another case where tests actually showed natural causes, a death from a streptococcus infection and not from poisoning. So there's only one very clear case of a child being killed by Halloween candy that was poisoned. This was not a stranger. This was actually the father in the Timothy O'Brien case. How can we separate exaggerated or even non-existent fears, such as Halloween sadism, from more serious issues? Amongst other things, we must evaluate the many statistics thrown about in the media by activists, interested parties, government officials, and politicians. Professor Best has written several books on practical evaluation of social statistics. The first is Damned Lies in Statistics, Untangling Numbers from the Media, Politicians, and Activists. That's successful book, sold well. It's followed up by more Damned Lies in Statistics, How Numbers Confuse Public Issues. And finally, Stat Spotting, a field guide to identifying dubious data. I have read all these books. All are good. Damned Lies in Statistics is the best. They discuss many cases where a large number based on a broad definition of a problem, such as 1 million missing children, was combined with horrific but extremely rare incidents similar to Halloween candy poisoning deaths to frighten the public. Professor Best's research on Halloween sadism does not mean that parents should not check Halloween candy for possible tampering or other issues. In September and October 1982, in the weeks leading up to Halloween, at least 7 people were killed with cyanide-laced Tylenol in the Chicago area. They had purchased the Tylenol at local stores. It was not given out on Halloween to trick-or-treaters. Actual sadism? No one was ever convicted of the murders, although one man was convicted of sending a letter taking credit for the murders to Johnson & Johnson, the maker of Tylenol, and demanding $1 million to stop. Extortion? While homicidal nuts are thankfully rare, they do exist. Horrific crimes are fortunately rare. They are, however, the staple of thrillers and horror movies and the frequent subject of frightening stories in the news, on social media, and elsewhere. They are also often paired with false or misleading statistics that exaggerate the size and scope of the problem. It is important to check the individual cases and the statistics carefully. If you like this video, please take a moment to click like and the notification bell below. We welcome constructive feedback and comments. If you want to support our work, you can subscribe on our Patreon page. This is the URL for our Patreon page. Scan this QR code with your smartphone to get the Patreon link. Our Patreon link is also in the show notes below.